The flow of traffic continues unabated. Tires roll past on the road surface. A commercial delivery vehicle rumbles by, close enough that a gust of wind momentarily lifts the fabric of his jacket. No one stops. No one feels compelled to intervene. Hands behind your back. Daniel brings them back halfway, pauses for a brief moment, then completes the motion. This hesitation is subtle, just long enough to signal his awareness of the unfolding sequence, not defiance. Am I being detained, or am I free to go? The question is clear and appropriate. It lands, then dissipates. You don't need to ask questions right now. Officer Bennett refrains from immediately producing handcuffs. Instead, he advances, closing the distance until the space between them feels uncomfortably intimate. Spread your feet. Daniel complies. The soles of his shoes create a faint scraping sound on the pavement. He widens his stance somewhat more than required, then adjusts it by an inch, as if self-correcting to align with an unseen mark. A hand sweeps along his waistband, moving with a speed that feels more than a perfunctory safety check, yet less than a full-fledged search. Pockets are flattened against his body. The contact is firm enough to be perceptible, but not so forceful as to warrant justification later. Anything on you I should know about? No. The reply is immediate, direct, and devoid of defensiveness. The officer's hand withdraws. A brief, pregnant pause follows, like a missing entry on a required form. Then, Officer Bennett's voice shifts, directed towards the interior of the car. Keys. Daniel glances back, his eyes alone making the movement. The keys are still in the ignition, the engine not running. The request seems disconnected from the preceding exchange. They're in the car. Officer Bennett exhales audibly through his nose, a short, controlled expulsion suggesting impatience with something he finds unreasonable. Leave them. Step over here. Daniel takes 2 paces, then an additional half step, exceeding the requested distance before stopping. I do not consent to any searches. The declaration is made, yet the search proceeds. The driver's side door opens. The sound of metal on metal is followed by the interior light illuminating the footwell, then the center console. The lid is flipped open, contents are disturbed. Nothing is immediately removed, but everything is shifted. I said, I don't consent. No response is offered. The glove compartment is opened. Documents slide forward, then are pushed back into a different arrangement from behind Daniel. Bennett speaks again, his tone bordering on indifference. Relax. If there's nothing there, this will be quick. This is not an offer of reassurance, but rather a statement of terms. Daniel remains precisely where he was instructed to stand, hands still behind his back, shoulders squared. He makes no attempt to lean or crane his neck to observe. Why was I stopped? The question hangs in the air, unaddressed. The search extends beneath the seat, into the door pockets, and to the passenger side. The rear door opens. Despite no one having occupied the back seat, the floor mats are lifted and then dropped back down, askew. The ambient noise of traffic fills the silences where an answer should have been provided. Officer Bennett's tone changes again, becoming lighter, more conversational. This isn't really your car. Is it? Daniel offers no reply, not out of offense, but because the question is irrelevant. I'm asking again. What's the legal reason for the stop? The search momentarily pauses, not long enough to conclude, but just a beat, enough to register the sound of the interruption without accepting its implication. Don't worry about that. The door is shut with more force than necessary. The interior light extinguishes. From the exterior, the car appears unchanged, though the interior order has been disrupted. Footsteps return, moving too close. Step closer to the bumper. Daniel complies. The road is now behind him. The car is no longer positioned between them. The scene is anchored solely by his presence and Officer Bennett's voice. You're acting nervous. I'm standing where you told me. Officer Bennett emits a short, unmimable chuckle. Everyone says that. A hand closes around Daniel's arm, not yet a forceful grip, but a probing contact, testing his willingness to comply. Am I being detained? Yes. For what reason? The answer is swift. Turn around, hands behind your back. This directive effectively supersedes the question. The handcuffs are produced now, metal glinting once in the diminishing light. I haven't been told a reason. That's not your decision. The cuffs are fastened, one click, then another, tighter than requisite. Daniel's wrists settle into the restraints. He does not pull away or tense his muscles, offering no reaction that could be misconstrued later. Vehicles slow as they pass, not enough to halt, but sufficient to observe. Daniel maintains an even tone, directing his voice towards the space between them, where a camera might be. This is a mistake. My identity will confirm that. These words seem to have no effect. Officer Bennett responds with a single curt sentence, delivered flatly, intended to end the exchange. You don't look like who you say you are. His grip tightens slightly, just enough to guide Daniel towards the patrol vehicle. Walk. Stand here. Daniel Brooks halts at the position Officer Bennett indicates, several paces from the shoulder, far enough that the car is no longer within easy reach. The handcuffs remain in place, unadjusted, unchecked, serving as a visual marker of the situation. Don't move. Daniel remains still, shifting his weight once, then rebalancing, as if settling into a posture he anticipates holding for an extended period. The search recommences without preamble or announcement. The driver's door is opened once more. The interior light remains on. The center console is accessed for a second time, its contents rearranged, not returned to their original positions. The glove compartment follows, papers sliding out further than before and being shoved back in with less care. Daniel's gaze is directed towards the road, not the vehicle. His head held level, chin slightly elevated, maintaining a posture that keeps his shoulders square and his breathing even. I do not consent to any searches. The statement is repeated, yielding no change. The search continues, methodically, as if following a predetermined checklist. The passenger side, door pockets, beneath the seat. The officer's hand probes areas where contraband would not logically be concealed, and continues regardless. A brief pause ensues. Why are you so tense? I'm standing in handcuffs. This elicits a short exhalation through the nose, a sound that is not quite a laugh. You're making this a bigger deal than it needs to be. The rear door opens, its sound distinct from the front. The back seat is examined next. Floor mats are lifted. One is dropped back down crookedly, a corner remaining folded over. Traffic slows again, not to a stop, but enough to notice something amiss. A sedan hesitates before proceeding. A pickup truck drifts wide as it passes. Anything illegal in here you want to tell me about? No. The answer remains consistent, unembellished. The trunk release clicks. The trunk opens. Daniel shifts his shoulders fractionally, then settles them. The handcuffs momentarily tighten on his wrists before returning to their previous position. The trunk is searched with excessive speed. Not carefully, but not so rapidly as to appear merely a safety inspection. A gym bag is unzipped, then zipped only halfway. Relax. Daniel offers no response. When the trunk is closed, it is shut with undue force, the sound carrying. Officer Bennett re-enters Daniel's personal space, close enough for Daniel to detect the scent of the patrol car's interior on him. Vinyl, stale coffee, and an overlay of something sharp and antiseptic. You know, most people don't get this worked up unless there's a reason. I've been asking for the reason that gets ignored. The statement is delivered as if background noise, acknowledged only by its lack of direct response. You've been stopped like this before. Daniel remains silent, the pause extending. Nothing moves. Officer Bennett steps back towards the patrol car, halts midway, turns, and surveys Daniel again, more deliberately this time, as if the scene might transform under prolonged scrutiny. Turn toward me. Daniel complies. Spread your feet again. He widens his stance more than previously, then corrects it by an inch, mirroring his earlier adjustment. The pat-down is repeated, this time with more roughness. Hands linger on areas where they are not needed. Pressure is applied, released, then reapplied. Daniel's jaw tightens momentarily, not visibly as resistance, but as a subtle internal effort. This would go a lot smoother if you'd just cooperate. I've been following every command. This elicits another short, cold laugh. That's not what cooperation looks like. Officer Bennett's hand closes around Daniel's arm again, firmer now, Not exploratory, but possessive. Am I being arrested? Not yet. The answer is delivered with unseemly haste. For what reason am I being detained? Suspicion. Of what? Officer Bennett offers no reply. Instead, he turns, reaches for his shoulder, and activates his radio. Daniel hears his name announced clearly and correctly. His date of birth follows, delivered with an air of confidence, as if expecting the system to readily comply. Daniel keeps his gaze fixed forward, on the road, the horizon line, anything that doesn't provoke an immediate reaction. The radio crackles in response, initially routine, then a request for repetition. Officer Bennett repeats the information with the same cadence. A longer pause follows. Daniel shifts his weight again, just enough to maintain his balance. The handcuffs tighten momentarily, then ease. Officer Bennett looks at the radio, then at Daniel, then away. He keys the microphone again, more quickly this time. Another pause. Stand by. Officer Bennett remains stationary, but his posture subtly shifts. The angle of his shoulders adjusts. The space he occupies changes without him moving. Daniel stays put, his gaze fixed forward, not on Bennett, nor on the car. Officer Bennett clears his throat. We're just going to wait here for a minute. Daniel nods once, a small, controlled gesture. I'm aware. The radio crackles again, the tone now different, more cautious, with fewer words, enough to alter the atmosphere without explanation. Officer Bennett says nothing in response. He lowers his hand from the radio, letting it hang at his side. Daniel speaks once more, his voice steady, directed towards the area where a camera would be recording. My identity will resolve this. Officer Bennett holds Daniel's gaze for a moment longer than usual, then turns back towards the patrol car. Stay right there. The command is delivered cleanly and holds sway. Keep your hands where I can see them. Daniel Brooks maintains his hands in their current position. The handcuffs have not been adjusted since their initial application, and their placement serves to keep him in place without requiring further explanation. Officer Bennett now stands beside the patrol car, not within it, and not fully facing Daniel, but at an angle, as if awaiting further developments before deciding on his next course of action. The radio crackles again with short bursts of coded communication, followed by an unfilled pause. Daniel remains silent, his posture unchanged, the only movement the steady rise and fall of his shoulders, a rhythm that could be counted if one desired. A vehicle pulls in behind the patrol car. Tires crunch on gravel. A door opens, then another. Why are the cuffs still on? The question originates from the new arrival, neutral in tone, directed at the situation rather than at Daniel. Officer Bennett turns. His reply is delayed. He was acting suspicious. For what reason? The question lands and remains unresolved. Officer Bennett gestures towards the Mercedes, then towards the road, then back at Daniel. His explanation emerges in fragmented pieces, none of which connect logically. License and registration were valid. That's correct. No contraband found. That's correct. No traffic violation articulated before the stop. A pause ensues. Officer Bennett does not immediately address this point. I asked what the reason was. Daniel does not move as the cuffs are unlocked. He waits until the metal has cleared his wrists before slowly lowering his hands, rubbing one wrist once, not dramatically, but enough to restore circulation. His license and registration are returned, not in the same order they were collected. You're free to go. Daniel nods once. He offers no thanks and makes no request for an apology. Instead, he turns back towards his car. Before opening the door, he pauses. For the record, I did not consent to the search that took place. The statement is delivered without inflection or emphasis. The supervisor looks at Officer Bennett, then at the patrol car's camera, and finally back at Daniel. Understood. Daniel enters the car. The door closes. The engine starts. The vehicle pulls away without hesitation. He does not drive far. A few minutes down the road, he turns into a well-lit parking lot and stops. The engine idles for a moment before being shut off. Daniel retrieves his phone, not to make a call or post on social media. He opens a notes application and begins to meticulously list the pertinent details: time, location, unit number, names, and the sequence of events. No reason was stated for the stop. A search was conducted after explicit non-consent. Restraints were applied without evidence. His name was run after detention. He continues typing until the memories are fully documented. That night, the report is submitted through official channels, devoid of subjective commentary or speculation, consisting solely of timestamps and actions. By morning, the incident is flagged. Once a supervisor intervenes in such a situation, the completion of paperwork becomes mandatory. The relevant footage is retrieved. Dispatch audio is queued. The timeline is locked. Officer Bennett composes his report in a manner typical for situations anticipating review, employing broad language, vague concerns, and referencing officer safety and suspicion. The video evidence does not align with his narrative. The review commences with fundamental questions. What violation justified the stop? There is none. What legal basis permitted a search following a clear statement of non-consent? None exists. Why were restraints applied after the search yielded no findings? There is no answer that aligns with the observed sequence. The moment the driver's federal status was noted in the file, the review transcended local jurisdiction. City Legal Counsel was notified, not for advisement, but for awareness. Interagency protocols dictated that the footage could not be handled discreetly. Preservation requests effectively froze the timeline. Internal Affairs initiated a formal investigation, scrutinizing body camera footage, dash cam recordings, and radio transmissions. All evidence aligned, save for Officer Bennett's report. Officer Bennett was placed on administrative leave, his access revoked, and his patrol schedule removed from the roster without explanation. On the civil side, the city issued a preservation notice requesting all footage, audio recordings, training records, and details of prior stops, not for public dissemination, but to establish a comprehensive paper trail. Weeks later, the department concluded its findings, identifying not a single error, but a chain of missteps. Initiating a stop without documented cause, conducting a search after explicit non-consent, and applying restraints without probable cause. The latter point led to the closure of the file. Officer Bennett was terminated. His termination letter cited policy numbers, not personal opinions. The dismissal was not confined within the department. The finding was recorded in his certification file, ensuring future applications would carry the same negative record, irrespective of where they were submitted. The city reached a civil settlement, admitting no liability, but involving a monetary exchange. Changes were implemented regarding how supervisors respond to incidents, mandating stricter documentation and a required review of stops that escalate without clear justification. Daniel Brooks declined interviews and avoided public attention. He resumed his routine. The only alteration was in the written record, as the incident's resolution was not dependent on his identity, but on what was officially documented. This illustrates how such situations are ultimately resolved, not in the heat of the moment with arguments, but through a meticulous sequence of restraint, documentation, and adherence to procedure. This narrative is part of a series exploring abuses of power. For more cases highlighting the importance of holding officials accountable and demonstrating how accountability, though sometimes delayed, ultimately prevails, subscribe and share this with someone who needs to understand how these matters are truly resolved.